Yo, what up? How's it going? And welcome back. Today's VOD review. We'll be doing Team Liquid versus TSM. This is week 4, day 2 of the LCS Spring Split. Cool, so let's get right into it. So we're going to be doing the draft, and not going to talk about the bans right now. I just want to address the elephant in the room. First off, the Yorick first pick on blue side. So let's go ahead and do that. So as you probably are ready to hear, I'm going to really hard flame the Yorick first pick. So normally, if any of you guys are accustomed to watching my VOD reviews, I normally like to reason and kind of give the backstory on why you'd want to do a Yorick first. Like if a team loses out on the draft a little bit, I like to explain why they went in kind of a negative direction and try to explain from the coach's point of view why they may have done that and why it kind of makes sense from their side. But I'm going to try to do that for Team Liquid, but it actually makes no sense, and I'm going to hard flame for about 5 minutes, but I'm going to dive really deep into them, not just going to make a blanket statement like, Yorick's a trash pick, terrible first blind pick. I'm going to actually explain why the drafting strategy with that was really dumb, why I just really think the drafting strategy for this game was really silly, and why I think they probably did it, and yeah, I'm just gonna talk about it. So the Yorick first pick is just gonna first explain why it's trash. So Yorick is a very strong champion in the meta. Everybody understands that, obviously, but you can't first pick Yorick because he has some really, really, really punishable matchups. So some really terrible matchups in the side lane. And playing a 4-1 composition is very good right now, actually. Playing 4-1 or playing 1-3-1 is actually super meta. So that's why they picked it, because playing 4-1 is actually super meta. So they actually picked a really decent 4-1 composition, but you can't pick your split pusher, who has really terrible matchups, at your first pick. So that's why they picked it. They picked it the 4-1, but I'll dive more deep into why they picked it in just a second. But Yorick's terrible matchups are the Yasuo, Aurelia, Jax. Doesn't do that well into Riven. All those champions don't do well into that. Doesn't really particularly do that well in lane, and also just gets hard outscaled. Like especially in the Jax and Fiora matchup, it just gets hard outscaled. So that's why you don't first pick Yorick. Because when you first pick Yorick, you're just showing your hand that we're picking a 4-1 composition. Yorick can team fight nowadays, but all the enemy has to do is also mirror your composition by picking a 4-1 composition and picking the better 4-1 composition. So you just kind of open up your hand and say, hey, we're going to build a comp around Yorick, and then the enemy team goes, okay, we're going to build our comp around a better split pusher, a champion that beats your split pusher. And also, our person who plays our split pusher is better at that style than yours. So that made no sense at all from just a champion perspective and just a draft perspective purely. The Yorick first pick made no goddamn sense at all when you didn't see any of the opposite picks or the solo laner on the other side or the jungler. Made no sense at all. At all. Okay, now let me try to explain from a drafting strategy, and I'm gonna flame really hard on the drafting strategy why it also made no sense, because some people might say, well, they're trying to practice a new style, so that they can learn and have some more things that can flex around for in the future. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so Team Liquid obviously wants to have multiple win conditions, because when you go to Worlds and you play against good teams, you have to have multiple win conditions. This is not what they're doing here. This is what they might say that they're doing here, and this is what they think they're probably doing here, but this is not what you're doing here. When you can't just draft a split push composition and think that you're practicing split push compositions, because when you I'm trying to explain this, but when you just draft Yorick first pick, you know what you're doing when you do that is you're just betting on the enemy team not capitalizing on that. So I bet the prep for this game was kind of like, oh, TSM has been trying to run compositions based around their early game and based around their solo lanes, and it hasn't been working out for them. And it's been failing for them. So we can just blind pick our solo laner, and we can just try our 4-1 composition, and it'll be fine, because they're not gonna be able to play around that. They're not gonna be able to capitalize on that. That's terrible. That's a terrible way to think. I don't know if that's actually what happened, but that's a terrible way to think. Whenever you're like building up a prep for a game or building up for anything, like anything in any type of sport or warfare in general, just any type of challenge, you should be basing all of your you should be basing the things that you want to do around your strengths rather than your enemy's weaknesses, right? So you acknowledge your enemy's weaknesses and prey on them, but then base your strategy around your strengths and then prey on the enemy's weaknesses rather than basing your full strategy on your enemy's weaknesses or on your enemy's perceived weaknesses when your enemy obviously has very good split pusher player. Broken Blade's a carry player, so just really strange. So and the whole thought process of we want to practice a 4-1 strategy doesn't make any sense here, because when you first pick Yorick, you're going to get counterpicked. If TSM didn't counterpick you here, they're trolling. Like, they're trolling if they don't counterpick you here. And any other good team is going to counterpick you with another 4-1 composition. Like, they're just going to mirror you, but with a better 4-1 composition. If you just show your 4-1 in the very first pick on blue side, on red side, they're just going to mirror your composition. Any good team will do that. So the practice, so this, like, we're practicing our 4-1 strategy so that we can use it in playoffs or we can use it at Worlds, doesn't make any sense, because any good team that's going to be playing you in playoffs and you have to worry about mixing up your play style, or any team that you're going to be playing at Worlds and you need to mix up your play style, is going to do this. They're going to capitalize on that weakness in your draft. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And this isn't like, if you watch Griffin's drafts or anything like that, I'm a huge fan of Griffin's drafts. Something that Griffin will do in their draft, and like some people will talk about Griffin, they'll say that like Griffin gives the enemies what they want too much, and I agree too, but what Griffin does instead is they don't show their hand first. They like sometimes their enemies will get what they want, but they countermatch that up rather than just clearly showing like, hey, here's our split pusher, counter it. Like, we want to practice around Impact playing split pushers, but we're going to first pick his champion so that you can pick Jax, Irelia, Yasuo. I mean, they banned Irelia, Jax, Irelia, Yasuo. You can play any of those champions, or Riven. Cool. It just made no sense, okay? Like, there's no defending that at all. Like, I don't care. Like, all the Reddit analysts can come after me. All the, like, real analysts can come after me and say, no. Like, they were practicing a strategy that... No. Stop. This was terrible. And I know they really don't care about the W's they want to learn, but I don't know what you learned from this game, actually. I don't know what you actually learned from this draft. There may be some things that happen in the game that they learn a lot from, but I don't actually know what you learn from this type of drafting strategy, because you're just drafting around your opponent's perceived weaknesses. You're guessing that they won't mirror your matchup, which is what you would do if you did this to another good team, which TSM is actually a good team. They just have a lot of problems. They're a good team with a lot of problems, which I've outlined them in previous VOD reviews. TSM has a lot of problems, but they're not dumb. So this is basing your strategy on the enemy being dumb, which is not a good strategy. So I'm just hard flaming here, but anyways, I'm done hard flaming. I normally don't hard flame teams or coaches or anything like that, but this was bad. This was bad. Like, that drafting strategy was bad. Don't blind pick Yorick. It's bad. It's really bad. Okay? There might be some really good plan out there on how to base your comp around Yorick if you first pick it, but I don't think there is. Like, he has so many bad matchups. Like, I don't think you can at all. I don't think you can blind pick Yorick against another good team. I just don't think you can at all. Don't do it. Don't do it. Stop. Okay. All right, cool. Let's actually talk about the draft now. Cool. So looking at the bans, it's kind of hard to segue into this. But looking at the bans, there's nothing weird going on with the bans, really. Nothing really super weird going on with the bans. I normally only talk about the bans if something really strange here going on. Yeah, nothing weird going on with the bans. So let's just talk about each team composition. So Team Liquid's team composition. So in the laning phase in top lane, Yorick can get some priority within the laning phase once he has his ghouls up, but he has almost no kill pressure into that lane. can maybe do some stuff into the he can do some stuff into the 2v1, but definitely loses out on the 2v2 with the Bjergsen Sejuani. Yeah, so definitely loses out on the 2v2 and loses out on the 1v1s in a straight up fight, but can actually get priority in lane with the ghoulies. So can look to get some priority at like level 4 or so, or level 3. Cool. Alright, looking at the mid lane matchup. So mid lane matchup is pretty stable matchup in terms of priority. Syndra can get the push if she really wants to, but expect that lane to be in kind of a neutral lane state. Nothing really special going on there. Probably expect that lane to be kind of in a neutral lane state. Zoe outranges slightly and can have some kill pressure, but expect that lane to be kind of... but both can have some kill pressure on there, but kind of a skill matchup. The bottom lane, Sivir can get priority after her first back usually, but doesn't have a whole lot of kill pressure unless the enemy bot lane messes up. There is a kill window for Kai'Sa and Thresh at around level 2, level 4 has kind of a kill window, and also level 6 has a kill window and has some decent gank setup with the Sejuani, so can look to make plays around there. Cool. And the Lee Sin can actually make plays, around the mid lane. Does lose the 2v2 top side, but could try to. Can make plays around bottom side, but it is kind of hard being on blue side, but can look to make like some lane gank type of plays on the bottom side, has some good gank setup. And yeah, so it can do that stuff. Lee Sin could look to have control of the dragon in the early game. So could try to split the map on bottom side if they choose to. So could look to do that. Cool. Looking over at TSM's composition, Sejuani would like to control around top side and just make the matchup a little bit easier for Jax, or make it, try to get his scaling going a little bit earlier. So try to control around top side around the once she's level 4 or so, try to just hang around top side, get vision control, all that good stuff. Just keep that side safe. And maybe try to get a Rift Herald before 14 minutes. Just try to scale up Jax, look for ganks around there. Can just try to make plays wherever she wants, but the main thing is if Jax comes online in this composition, then TSM's comp is a lot scarier than Team Liquid's in the mid game, because what can really happen in the mid game is if Jax starts winning the split push, he hard outscales Yorick. And that'll just be a hard pressure point on a side of the map, and Zoe actually has so much objective control if TSM can get control of the map. So if the game is in a neutral game state, except for the Jax is just pouncing and controlling, or is just like destroying on the side lane, the Zoe pick and Zoe Sejuani and Thresh can actually have so much control over the choke points leading to objectives, so they can have so much stall out. So much stall out canceling out on the 4v4, so they can just leave Jax to just win the game by himself, and just get small advantages in the side lane and basically just win through that. So TSM's 4-man group doesn't actually have to do anything. They can look for picks in the Zoe and just kind of control, and they don't actually have to get those kills, but if they do, cool, awesome, they get those kills, but just mitigating risk for the side lane and just getting advantages to the side lane. On the flip side, Team Liquid's composition can try to get some leads early. The hard thing about their side lane matchup is even if Yorick gets ahead, there's a point in the matchup where he just starts to lose anyways. So maybe Xmithie can try to get him ahead. If he gets so far ahead in the matchup, he just wins. But there's just a point in the game where Jax just can't lose that, even if he's so far ahead. So the game's kind of really on a timer for Team Liquid. So maybe trying to just make plays around bottom side, controlling Drake, and just blowing or getting Sivir to that 3 items, and just looking for a big mid game team fight. But really, TSM's team comp is looking really good. So maybe trying to get some plates with Sivir in the early game and controlling Drakes and just rotating them around the map and getting that plate gold. Because their comp can move forward really easily and has a decent mid-game fight with the Syndra, Alistar, and Lee Sin. But the game is going to be on a timer if that Jax can get ahead, and that Zoe, Thresh, Sejuani has a lot of pick potential and a lot of objective control into the mid game and a lot of disengage as well. So it's going to be very hard for Team Liquid to win this game, in my opinion. And you know, obviously they don't win the game. We've already seen it, but it actually, from the base starting of the game, if this game's at an even game state, TSM's comp definitely has the advantage, in my opinion. Cool. So let's just get right into the game then. Sorry, a hard-flamed Team Liquid for their draft for a million years, but really disappointed in the draft. The draft is my favorite part of the game, so really disappointed in the draft, honestly. Just so disappointed in the Yorick first. I mean, Yorick is a pick that's so figured out already, so it's just so disrespectful to draft that way. Like, it's just disrespecting your opponent. Makes no sense to draft that way. Alright, getting some deep vision. They should know where Lee Sin is starting. So it will be interesting to see where Lee Sin does his pathing, because Lee Sin really likes to do red, Krugs, and then bottom scuttle is what a lot of Lee Sins like to do. And there's actually potential for Lee Sin to just lane gank level 2. A lot of Lee Sins like to do that. Lane gank bottom level 2. Interesting to see. Sejuani starting top side. Seems very normal, and the Impact's going to have the lane pushing into him because he's not having the leash. Makes sense there. Pentakill Yorick skin. That's Yorick skin that I use. Oh yeah, this is Akaadian just meets him here. Yeah, Akaadian actually wins that at level 2. So he can stack up his passive and beat that ass. Yeah, and Akaadian's just walking through. This is actually really good by Akaadian. This is actually this game was pretty impressive by Akaadian. So he forces out Xmithie's smite, so he knows that he can just take this in his face. Because Jax gets prio the first couple levels before the ghoulies happen, so Jax can just roam down here. So this play is possible. And as I said, the mid lane is going to be a neutral lane state. Dude, that redemption at level 3, that must be so nice. So pretty good play by Akaadian there. Would like to see him move towards his bottom side so it doesn't get invaded. Yeah, nice. Only thing that sucks about the pathing he's doing is he's not able to rubber band his Krugs, so he won't get the bonus XP on the second one. But denying the blue buff was a lot more important than rubber banding his Krugs, obviously. And then we'll also get Lee Sin's back, so I think that was a ward by Thresh. So they will have all of Lee Sin's camp timers, so that'll be pretty important. Nice. And then in a minute we'll get the duo kill. Also in this game, just some really good individual plays by TSM members. So like forcing Syndra out of lane is just really good by Bjergsen. So as I said, that's kind of just like a skill matchup in that lane. So just a really good play by Bjergsen there, just denying some minions. And then we'll see the level 4 play in bottom lane in a second. So TSM's bottom lane does actually have kill pressure in this lane. TL's bottom lane doesn't have a whole lot of kill pressure. There's like some, but not a whole lot. Zven flashed forward because he wanted to get the gold for the kill, but didn't end up getting it. It actually gets him killed in a second. It kind of ends the laning phase. Feels bad. Alright, now Lee Sin's he's gonna back probably and then move towards bottom side and get vision control around bottom side. Get vision control around the Drake. They should be able to get control of Drake, but maybe not because they're actually losing mid. Oh, mid's pretty even though, actually. Never mind. Would be nice to see Xmithie get control of bot river though, pretty soon. Yeah, that was Zven just kind of inting. Can't walk up without your flash. It's just a bad play. Xmithie have pink wards. No. Yeah, so he's getting control of bot river right now. So he's got Scuttle. CoreJJ moves up with him. Yep. So they're gonna look to get Mountain pretty soon, most likely. So Weason's gonna go top side, and then next time he's around bottom side, they can try to look to get Mountain if they can get vision control again. If they can reestablish river control. But with Zoe prowling around, it's gonna be tough for them, actually. Weason can maybe just hop over the wall if he wants. Oh, he's gonna look for a gank, that's right. Yeah, they have flash advantage. Feels bad. Now he can actually just do it if he wants to. They're looking for the invade instead. Yeah, they'll just do Mountain. But Akaadian will take this trade all day though, because TSM's win condition is the Jax, right? Like TSM just wins this game if Jax wins the split push. But as I said, Zoe has such good objective control because she can just move over and hit you off of objectives. Also, double Sivir backed there, so that made that really hard to do. Weird. Where did he back there? Huh, that's weird that he backed there. He must have, I don't know if he had to back there or what was going on with that. It didn't show. Huh. Kind of weird that he recalled there. That's what, huh. Oh yeah, Akaadian just started walking the wrong way. I mean, they warded on the lantern, but it was kind of weird because his pathing must have just got messed up. Like his pathing, like he must have clicked on the map because he just started walking the wrong direction. It's kind of weird, but they kind of had no business fighting over the dragon. That skirmish was kind of over, so it made no sense that TSM was still there. They're fighting over vision control to try to prevent the dragon from happening, but they didn't actually have to walk over the wall. They could have just done like the dragon dance there, and I think TL wouldn't even have started the dragon, or if they did, then the Zoe could have had time to rotate over. But this was a good play at TSM. They have the early rotation. So they go for the play because they think that like CoreJJ is going to be there in time, but Jensen was in base, I'm pretty sure. So just really bad to even contest from Team Liquid. So bad play by TSM, then a bad play by Team Liquid. So like rotating over before your mid laner can get there, like it's kind of weird how both of those things happen. But as I said, like TSM's playing to their win condition better though. Like they win the fight on top side, and that's so much more valuable than winning the play on bottom side. Like obviously Team Liquid wants to get their bottom side ahead, but like the value of getting a Jax ahead versus the value of getting a Sivir ahead is so like more skewed in the Jax side because of the way the compositions are put together. Because the compositions depend so much on the Jax and the Yorick, it's so much more important to get the Jax ahead. And Jax's item timings are so much like more valuable. So Jax's one item timing, like 1.5 item timing, is so strong, and then his second item timing once he gets a Spear of Sojin is insane. It's just insane. So Akaadian's going to do a lot of shadowing work for Broken Blade for a while until he gets to the point where he can 1v3. That's why you're going to see Akaadian just shadowing him and making sure that he stays in a 1v1. And kind of like making sure that he can take the enemy jungle's farm. But on the flip side, Team Liquid kind of have to make a play on the opposite side if they want to do anything. So either they have to do one of two things. They need to make a play on top of the split pusher or need to make a play away from the split pusher. Like they're having to make a play now, right? But the tough thing about that is like the Zoe pick. But the game is early enough into the game to where they might just be able to have enough control. Just do it. But look at Zoe. Look what Zoe does to you. And look, Infernal Drake's coming up, and your jungler's dead. That's what the Zoe pick does. Like that wasn't necessarily objective control, but like the pick potential that TSM's comp has, and then if we were actually like posturing around objectives, the amount of objective control, it's pretty insane. That's why TSM's comp is so good for this game. Alright, they're just swapping Broken Blade to the bottom side of the map because his TP will be coming up for Baron. Also, they want him to get the bottom tower. Like, they want him to get that gold, so also he'll like be able to actually push it. But his TP will be up for Baron. This is just unfortunate. Yeah, that was just unfortunate. Honestly, I don't really blame Zven for being there because like Thresh was almost in lantern range and like Alistar got behind you and they had a pink ward right there, so it's pretty unlikely that Lee Sin's going to be behind you there. So, and like it's unlikely that Thresh isn't going to get there in time. Yeah, but they're getting control over so TSM wants to get vision control over the brushes around where Broken Blade is, so that they can make plays like this and keep Broken Blade safe as well. Like right now, that's what they're doing, and then they'll transition their vision to the objective that they want. So you see how lit up this quadrant is? Here, hold on, I'm gonna pause it. So you see how lit up this quadrant is right now? They're gonna back, and then they're gonna transition their vision around this quadrant and the choke points over here, so Bjergsen can just pelt them with Sleepy Trouble Bubbles. And then whatever side Broken Blade's going to be on, which is probably going to be this bottom side, he's just going to put his pink in this bush and one of his regular wards on this back bush over here or behind him, so he can feel safe splitting. So they'll transition all these pinks up into this quadrant in just a second, and then Broken Blade will just use his own pink and his own wards for protection. Yeah. That's just unfortunate. It's kind of whatever, though. Doesn't really do anything. This was a nice play. Yep. Yep, and Broken Blade almost has a Spear of Sojin. Yeah, so TSM is just moving around the Baron now and re-establishing vision control, and then Broken Blade just gonna put wards for his own safety. So he has wards behind him to stave off the flank, and then when he's able to actually push up, he'll put a ward in front of the red buff. So they're still going to keep vision around Baron, but with Broken Blade pushing down bottom, they actually have prio on mountain, so they might just want to get some vision on the pit, but with Broken Blade being down bottom, like their power is just so strong with Broken Blade. And he has that Spear of Sojin built, so he can actually team fight. So Jax is actually so powerful in the team fight right now. And they just get it, straight up. They just straight up get it. Okay. Yeah, so if you're familiar with my VOD reviews, I always talk from the team that's in the driver's seat rather than the team that's behind. Sometimes I'll talk from the team that's behind and talk about what they can do to get into the game. But from this point into the game, really, TSM has all the cards into their hand right now. They have all the cards in their hand. They really actually don't have to do anything other than standard League of Legends. They just fight for vision control around the objective that they want. So they want Baron, so they fight for vision control around here. Look for picks with the Zoe, with the Thresh, with the Sejuani. They have so much pick potential, so they just fight for vision control, and they let the Jax split push and draw pressure. Like, their win condition is so easy to execute on because the way that Team Liquid did their stupid ass draft. Yeah, and then so on the flip side, Team Liquid can also only do the same thing. They can look for picks with their 4-man, but TSM's comp is just so much better at doing what TL's comp wants to do, but they're just better at doing it, right? Their comp's just so much better at doing it. Like, the amount of objective control that Zoe can offer is just so good. It's so much better than what Syndra can offer. The actual teamfight capabilities of a Jax is so much more important than Yorick's at the moment too. With that Spear Sojin built, it's actually insane. Look at that. Gets CoreJJ's ultimate now. And just re-establishing vision control. While the Jax just gets more money. Yep. This is how this game goes. So the only way Team Liquid wins this game is if they just get like a crazy pickoff, or TSM just makes a really terrible mistake. So you see how safe TSM played that right there? You see how, like, whenever like they thought maybe they could get Bjergsen, they throw the lantern, he picks up the lantern and Thresh flashes away. Like, because TSM just understands the only way they lose this game is if Team Liquid gets like some crazy pickoff and then take the Baron. That's the only way TSM loses this game. Absolute only way. And so that's why Team Liquid's so desperate walking around in this river area trying to get a kill. That's why they're so desperate walking up here. Because that's literally the only way they win the game. They pinch themselves so hard in the draft. Oof. Yeah, it looks like Broken Blade is gonna build the Titanic Hydra, so just gonna be even more tanky. Actually, really tanky with that build too. You can build like a Sterix after that too. It'll be like super tanky. Or a Death Dance. Insane. Yeah, and Broken Blade can just rotate over and take the mountain by himself. No, if he wants to, but it looks like, yeah, he's just getting vision control over the mountain. The thing is, the way TSM's positioning right now, they're positioning on this side, right? So they're positioning on this side. So they're threatening the Baron, and so while they're threatening the Baron, TL has to respect that. So that frees up Broken Blade to just take the dragon because he had all that bot lane priority. So Team Liquid's only thing that they can do right now is try to look for a play on Baron while Broken Blade is taking the Earth Drake. But as soon as TL starts to move in, TSM can just move out on the backside. What TL could do is they could set up like a really nice like flank or something like that, but then Broken Blade could probably just TP in behind them. So they can maybe try to set that up, but with Alistar this far back, they don't have actual setup for that right now. Yeah, so TSM was just debating. And then Jax is gonna get Prio again, and then maybe go get Mountain. Or just try to get the inhib. But it looks like Yorick is moving back. Yeah, he's just pushing for inhib. Oh, this is when he solos him. Yeah, so Broken Blade chooses to do this rather than get the dragon, which is better. Right? Oh yeah, right. Now that he just TP's in. Yeah. They have to respond to Broken Blade because he gets a solo kill. So Broken Blade could make 3 good decisions there, right? And Team Liquid had to make 3 bad decisions there. They had to, okay, so do we try to? We have to go respect their chance of doing Baron. If we do that, then Broken Blade can get a free mountain, push down our inhibitor, or solo our top laner, and then TP and take the Baron anyways. So Team Liquid had no options there other than like looking for some juicy flank or something like that. But like the odds of that even paying off is still like 10%. So this game's really an unwinnable game state. Why is this video getting like latency issues watching this? So weird. Yep. So they try to get a pick off on Jax here, but Jax is so tanky. Broken Blade mispositions a little bit. It doesn't matter though. Counter strikes OP. Jax OP. That champion is so busted in solo queue. It's actually insane. But I mean, in pro play, it's just like, yeah, he's a split pusher who got ahead. So, you know, just split pusher things. Zven gets a little chunked here, but he is the AP Kaisa, so he actually heals really well with his autos. Zven's not having a good game, man. Zven's having a pretty rough game. He just like ulted in and nothing happened. He just wants a kill. Pad his KDA a little bit better. Zven's a really good player. I have a lot of respect for him. Yep, and they can just reset, put Broken Blade in the side lane. Just pelt people with Zoe, threaten the kills with all their pick potential. Oh man. This game was over. This game was over like I don't want to say this game was over in the draft because it definitely wasn't, but like in the draft there was already like a 30% chance you win this game as Team Liquid. Like, actually, in my opinion. Like, unless the other team is just really bad. But I really don't think TSM is a bad team. Like, even though their like record suggests they might be a bad team, they have a lot of issues with some mid-game decision making that I've outlined in some VOD reviews that I've done for them. Like, where they make some really dumb decisions. But in terms of like actual skill level, skill level and their knowledgeability, like stuff they actually talk about if you watch their documentary series and stuff. Stuff they actually talk about the game. They're not dumb players, and so just really weird draft that just made no sense to do. Yeah, but here's what the Sivir pick will do for you. Is it'll stall out the game for a million years. Kind of just makes it where you have to have Baron to end the game. That's Sivir in a nutshell. That drowsy was clutch. But they can't do anything with that. Just don't have any damage. But them being that far up just allows Broken Blade to the tower, and hello Impact. I can take the tower in your face. I don't know why I'm getting latency issues watching this. This is weird. Yeah, but this game was over as soon as... This game was probably over as soon as Akaadian ganked top lane one time. The game was over. Because Bjergsen was already winning the mid lane matchup. They were already winning bot solo. And then right after that, so the game was looking not great, and then they won that Rift Herald fight, and the game was basically over unless TSM just makes a huge mistake. The game was really over after that Rift Herald fight unless TSM makes a huge mistake. But the draft was a big blunder, really. I mean, you can't even say they were trying out a new style. Like, no, you're not trying out a new style whenever you just, like, give the opponent everything they want, and like you give the opponent everything they want and you just draft a worst version of their comp. Like that you're not trying out a new style and you don't learn anything from that. That's just a GG go next game, you know? Like really this is just a GG go next. Like you learn something in a game when you both draft like even types of drafts and you're trying out a new style, or you have really contrasting styles that you're playing against and you're trying a new style for your team and it's like a close game and you can like really get something from it, but like you really don't learn anything from drafting a shitty split push composition versus this composition's fine. This composition's fine, but it's not fine in this game because of what TSM drafted, and you showed your whole hand with blue side first pick. And it's not like TSM's gonna first pick Yorick, because if they did, then you could pick Jax. Maybe they would, because maybe it's just so stupid. Like, it's just assuming your opponent has no brain, which is a really terrible strategy. You should never, like, in anything you ever do in competition ever, you should not make your strategy around your opponent's weaknesses. You should base your strategy around your strengths, and then have some conditions built in there around your opponent's weaknesses, right? So you base your strategy around your strengths, and then prey on your opponent's weaknesses. And then obviously this being League of Legends being a game where you have so many different types of strategy and you have so many different intangibles, you don't always play to your same strengths because that helps you be stronger in the long run. I totally get that, because obviously the strength of their team is their bot lane, is their mid laner, you know, that type of stuff is the strength of their team. I totally get that, and that they want to try to have a split push win condition. But you don't learn anything from this game if you don't give your split pusher a chance to win the game. Because if you draft this way, you don't ever give him a chance to win the game. So it's just stupid. It's just dumb. Okay, I'm done doing that. Okay, sorry I'm so critical. I just want teams to be good. Alright, anyways, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I enjoyed making this one. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.